if I can recall correctly. And sorry, I said, well, I just finished my period. Okay, let's see. I know the breast is a little lumpy during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of said, okay, I'm gonna brush it off. But it did, there was a lump there and it was pronounced and I felt it. Maybe about a week or two later, bathing again, checking, and next thing I checked underneath my arm. I'm going up here. Welcome to Diversity Dish, where we're dishing on everything diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice related. My name is Sedruola Maruska, and we're bridging the gap between what needs to be said and what needs to be heard. Those individual experiences that are often ignored or simply dismissed. Sometimes I'm dining alone, sometimes I'm dining with friends, and sometimes I'm dining a la carte. No matter how I'm dining, it promises to be delicious. Let's dig in.
Helen Morgan is a broadcasting production professional with extensive talent management skills. She's passionate about bringing visions to fruition and helping talent reach their full potential. She's an aspiring voiceover artist who's worked at Lifetime TV, C-SPAN, Middle East Broadcasting Networks, Al Jazeera Network, and TV One. She's a 14-year breast cancer survivor, born and raised in New York, born to parents that were born in Cuba, but with a rich Jamaican heritage. She reps Jamaica all day long. She's also a high school friend. Hello, Helen. It is so good to have you on Diversity Dish today, and it's so good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm trying to remember the last time we saw each other. I know we were in high school together, but I know we must have seen each other since high school. So,
I'm sure we have, but I cannot remember
yeah.
myself. And that, and that makes it like a lot of years.
But you look great. You
Oh,
look
thank you so
great.
much. I know my audience knows that I do video as well, and so
Mhm,
you look amazing too. So one day the audience will see
mhm.
this image of you.
All right.
Uh, so before we jump into anything,
Mhm.
we're talking about breast cancer this month.
Yes.
But before we jump into anything, I want you to tell me or to tell us what is it that you are most passionate about like right now? Because I know it can change as we, in life, but right now, what is it that you're most passionate about?
Well, that's a very good question. Well, I have a lot of things that are in the works, right? I do have a passion to help people. I
Mm,
do have a passion to see talented people come to fruition. I know I'm good at spotting talent, and
mm-hmm.
in the past I have helped a couple of people like jumpstart their careers or help them here and there in certain things, especially in the music. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's something that I find that I like doing because I love to see when talented people are moving forward or when they're doing good, and I like to kind of be a part of that too. What else am I passionate about? I'm passionate about the sun. It's out. It's beautiful.
I love it.
We're in summer. We're in summer. We're coming out of this. Well, we are trying to come out of this COVID, but um,
Yes.
it's crazy. But I am passionate that I am happy about the fact that the sun is
The
out
sun
today,
is out. We can
and
get out. It's summertime.
I can I got up this morning, and
Yes.
so I'm thankful about that. But yeah, I would think right now, I do have some things that I'm looking forward to doing. Like a friend, like I expressed to you that a friend
Mm-hmm.
of mine, we're going to be well, we are going to be, not even maybe, launching like a podcast, and we're going to
Yes.
get into talking about various subjects that are passionate to us and that we find interesting and that's affecting our culture.
Mm-hmm.
in the diaspora and as Africans
Yes.
that have
Yes.
been placed in different areas of the world.
Mm.
I'm Jamaican heritage, you're Haitian
Mm-hmm.
heritage. My friend is African American heritage, and we have a lot of culture and a lot of diversity in our culture and beautiful hues of people. And so we're going to be talking about those things and talking about what affects us and trying to uplift the culture in our way. So I'm kind of passionate and looking forward to getting that off the ground and seeing where it goes and how far it could take us. I mean, we've talked about even maybe doing a radio show at some point or
Ooh,
that type
okay.
of thing. So we'll see where it takes us, but we got to start somewhere, right? So
That's right.
I'm happy and passionate about that and seeing that to fruition.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Yes, we have to start somewhere, right? And I
Exactly.
say that all the time. I'm always like, and then it's like, look, you can't expect, you can't look at somebody who is like 100 steps ahead of you and think, oh, I need to be right there right now.
Right.
You've got to take those same steps because somebody behind is looking at you and going, oh, I want to be where they are right now. So
Hmm.
we actually need to take the steps that we need to take, but we also need to acknowledge, how far we've come
Yes.
in anything that we've done.
Yes.
I was just saying to you that it's almost, by the time this is airing, it will have been a year that I started this podcast. And I started this podcast on like, I decided 5 weeks before I launched that I was going to launch. And I thought, I'm just going to do it. And so it's kind of, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But also, that kind of helps me to pivot to talk about your cancer journey.
Yes.
We are in the month of October.
Hmm.
Not that we don't always think about, it's kind of like, Black History Month and Latin History Month and it's not that those things don't matter all year round, but there's a spotlight that is shown at this
Hmm.
time.
Yes.
And you and I both have been on that breast cancer journey. And so
Yes.
I wanted to bring you on because I want you to tell your story, your cancer story.
Okay.
And as we say, we have to acknowledge how far we've come. So you can tell us how far beyond your diagnosis and your treatment you are, because you
Mhm.
are a survivor and
Yeah.
thriver.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So,
So, my journey started 2007. So, I am 14 years in to this
yes,
journey.
yes,
I found my cancer through
you found it.
yes, through self-examination.
How
Um,
so is, I'm going to just pause right here to say how important it is to
absolutely.
do those self examinations and
Absolutely.
to believe yourself when you find something that is odd.
That yes. Yes. Yes,
Continue with your
absolutely.
story, my dear.
Yes. Yes. So, how it started was in the shower one day,
Mhm.
just checking my breast or, and I felt a lump in my left breast. And I was like, okay, this is strange. But I had just finished my period, maybe a
Mhm.
week or a couple of days, if I can recall correctly. And sorry, I said, well, I just finished my period. Okay, let's see. I know the breast is a little lumpy during that time.
Mhm.
So I kind of said, okay, I'm gonna brush it off. But it did, there was a lump there and it was pronounced and I felt it. Maybe about a week or two later, bathing again, checking. And next thing I checked underneath my arm. I'm going up here and I feel
Mm.
the lump. Like actually when I'm showering and I feel the lump here. And I'm like, okay, now this is weird.
Right.
That's when I was like, okay, this is weird. So I immediately called. At the time, I was going to Planned Parenthood. God bless Planned Parenthood. Let me,
Okay. I
yes,
say it all the time too. God
God bless.
bless Parenthood.
I heard about their beginnings and the talk about, you know, um, how they came to be and they're racist or whatever. But I know one of my best experiences have
Mm-hmm.
been with Planned Parenthood because the nurse practitioners who are doctors or,
Mm-hmm.
in their field, you can almost call them doctors, are very caring.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, that's where I was going for my annual checkups and everything like that. Anywho, I called them and I said, something is strange. They had me come in, they checked, they were like, okay, yes, you need to see someone immediately. They gave me a list. They were so helpful. Um, Went to get the mammogram done, and when I got the mammogram done, as I was laying on the the bed,
Mm-hmm.
I could tell in the technician's face that something was wrong. But back then, they usually don't give you a diagnosis or anything like that.
Right.
But I could tell in her face, okay, something is wrong. So she said, okay, I'm going to be sending these to the doctor. If the doctor does not call you by tomorrow, please call them. That's what
Mm-hmm.
she said. Anywho, I did get a call from the doctor the next day, came in, went to his office, and sat. It was, it was so funny the way he came in. I was in his office. He came in and said, okay, you have breast cancer stage 2, da da da. And he was just so matter of fact. And I'm sitting there like, "Huh, what?
Wow. Really?
Yeah, he just came in there and just broke the news. No chaser, no,
No, just rip the band-aid off. We're just moving on. Wow.
just like that. And I'm sitting there trying to
Process.
process this thing. And he said, we're gonna check the next breast. We saw a lump in something next breast. So they wanted to do a biopsy, plain and simple. So I started to panic. Obviously, it took
Yeah.
me a day to like digest this whole thing.
Yeah.
When I was on the way home, I'm sitting here like shaking my head. My mother had passed of cancer in 1999,
Oh.
and she passed of skin cancer, which
Mm-hmm.
is rare for Black people, but she had a mole that turned cancerous in her foot, and she never took any treatment or anything like that. She decided to go natural and do the surgeries to remove the cancer as it traveled or metastasized.
Mm.
But that's what she did. And I do have a history of cancer in my family, especially
Mm.
on my mother's side. So I was like, wow, I was healthy. I had no other issues,
Mm-hmm.
no blood pressure issue, nothing. Healthy. And that's exactly what's written in my chart, health.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was like 42 at the time. Yeah. Healthy, 41 going on 42. I'm trying to remember. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, healthy, so it took a minute to digest this.
Yeah.
Um, when I did, I was like, okay, this is not going to, this is not going to get me. This is not going to get me.
Yes.
I started sharing it with my friends and family and letting them know what was happening. So the treatment now was they went in, they did the biopsy. They did the biopsy of the right. It was benign. But during that whole process, when I was going into my doctor's office, they called me Sunshine. That was their nickname for me because of
Nice.
my disposition. And okay, let me back up. I found the lump, I want to say in April 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did have, yeah, it was in April. I had my surgery in May 17th.
Mm. Okay. My
So
surgery was May too, but it was May 1st.
May 1st. So yeah, mine was May 17th. And I remember that because that day was the day that a nonprofit that I had at the time, or that I was a part of at the time, was for we became legally form information on that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but during that time period when I had to go, you get the testing, the biopsy,
All the scans. Yeah.
scans, and all that type of stuff. So I would go to the office and they call me Sunshine. And one day I went in there and I had to go meet with the plastic surgeon whose office was right down the hall just to see what options I had.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met with her, especially for the fact that they found another lump here in the right breast.
Right.
When I
Mm-hmm.
met with her, her bedside manner was not good at she explained to me this whole process about what they're going to do to reconstruct the breast and taking the fat from my stomach and all this type of thing, you know. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And because, you know, when they found the lump in the right breast, I had said to myself, you know what? Just take them both.
It's here, the day you've been waiting for. The registration for the Discovery Den cohort is now open. You can find the link in the show notes, or you can go to Sedruola Maruska.com backslash work dash with dash Sedie, and that's Sedie. What is a Discovery Den cohort? It's a place where you get to connect with like-minded people and you get to dig further into the information that we've shared. The Discovery Den cohort is where we're going to help you take those strengths that are yours. We're going to help you identify your strengths, take those strengths, couple them with your passion, and find exactly where you want to make or where you can make a laser focused difference. So come on by sedrolamaruska.com backslash work dash with dash Sedie, or look in the show notes. The link is there.
I don't want to deal with this.
That's exactly what I said.
Just take them both. I don't want to deal with it.
Yep.
And that's what led to the appointment with the plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
So met with her. Her bedside manner was not good. It was not good at all. Went back to the office, and the nurse immediately grabbed me because she saw my face. There's no sunshine anymore.
I know there's no more sunshine.
There was no more sunshine. She saw my face and grabbed me real quick, took me back into the doctor's office. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because that process that she explained was not cute. And back then,
right,
to get reconstructive surgery, it wasn't covered by insurance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It wasn't really covered by insurance. Like now you can get the implants and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't really covered by insurance at that time, at least not mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But my surgeon came in and he said, okay, calm down. Because he saw my face. And it's not like I was going crazy. He just saw my face.
Right.
Sunshine. So he was like, okay, calm down. This is what we're going to do. More than likely, what's in that right breast is probably benign. So we're going to go in, we're going to get it tested. And all we're going to do is a lumpectomy. We're not taking your breast. You're still young. You're beautiful. Da, da, da. So we're not going to do that. And I was like, okay, no problem. Okay.
Right.
Whatever you say, you know. So
yes,
that's what ended up happening. So May 17th was my schedule for the lumpectomy. And we went in, we did the lumpectomy. And then after the lumpectomy, we started chemo. I had to have a second surgery to get clear margins. Clearer margins. Because we didn't get everything the first time. And hoping maybe that the chemo would maybe reduce it. Now, again, I had stage 2, which...
Was it invasive lobular carcinoma, or was it in the ducts? Ductal?
It was in the ducts. It was in the ducts. HER positive.
So it responded to estrogen and progesterone.
Yeah,
that was mine as well.
Yes. So yes, so he went in. So yes, I had to get the first surgery done. We went to 6 rounds of chemo.
Mm-hmm.
I was also on Herceptin. And then after the 6 rounds, we went in again and got clearer margins.
Mm-hmm.
So after which I had radiation
Mm.
in that area too. All this time I had to work. I was still working. And I think I missed work from October because after doing the chemo and that, man, you know, that's no joke.
It's no joke.
That
It's no
chemo
joke.
is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
I will share this that, um, they gave me medications for the side effects, which didn't really work for me.
Mm.
But what did work for me was marijuana.
Mm.
And I will
Okay.
share that. A lot of my friends were like, why aren't you smoking marijuana or, for the pain or anything? I was like, well, I'm not comfortable. I had gotten to the point where I started living with a friend because I could not be on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't comfortable bringing that substance into her home and with her son there, who's my godson,
Mm-hmm.
there. But when I talked it over with her, she was like, Helen,
Girl, you better do what you need to do.
stop playing. What you talking about?
Right. Right.
Um, got the marijuana, boiled it, made it as tea,
Yeah.
and I would drink it before going
Mm.
to bed and would be able to sleep.
Right.
Helped to alleviate a lot of the symptoms. I would sniff it,
Mm-hmm.
and it would alleviate the nausea for me.
Mm.
Another thing that I was taking, I had my cousin who would bring me a batch of Irish moss. I don't know if you know
Okay.
that drink, Irish moss.
No. Okay.
Okay, so it's a Jamaican drink that
Mm.
is Caribbean drink, but Jamaican, and that is very high in protein. So that kept my energy up
Mm-hmm.
through that whole process. And he would
Mm-hmm.
make a new batch for me every week and bring it to me.
Nice.
Whole process. It was beautiful. I have to say that during that time, I was truly blessed with support
Mm.
from family and friends.
Yes.
And my job was really supportive
Yes.
of me at the time. And I would say that was such a blessing. Um,
Yeah.
so that was basically it. By February, March, took the regular cocktail. I was on Herceptin for a full year.
Mm-hmm.
I took that for a full year, and the hair fell. Let me tell you a story about that. Okay, so I had locks, and I had beautiful locks. The length of my locks now is the length of what it was
Before.
when I had cancer.
Yes.
The picture that I sent you is a picture of me right before my third treatment,
Okay.
before my hair started
To just come out.
to come out. So in one of my appointments with my oncologist, she was saying to me that, okay, you might as well just go ahead and cut off your hair now because it's going to fall.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh? What?
Yeah.
You might as well just do it. And I was like, oh, okay. Again, not trying to process this, right?
Yeah.
So she's funny. She's a white woman. And she goes, so she gets some advice. And this is exactly what she said.
Yeah.
She goes out her office, or screams out her office, I should say, to the nurse's station and says, hey, ladies, I need some Black woman advice. That's exactly what she said.
That's hilarious. No way. While you're sitting
While
there?
I'm sitting there. Okay.
What?
So here I am with my locks. I have my Bob Marley t-shirt because I'm into the culture already.
Yes, yes. I know, right?
I rep Jamaica all day long. I'm into my culture, so here I am with my locks and my Bob Marley t-shirt with my Bob Marley skirt, wraparound skirt, looking really with the earrings and everything. And the nurse comes in, takes one look at me, because she's telling me to cut my hair, get a wig, and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, she took one look at me and said, no, she's not gonna wear a wig.
No,
No,
right?
she's not gonna wear a wig.
She
So
might she
well,
gonna
maybe
cut that off, but she just gonna wear it natural when it comes
that's
back.
right. She's not wearing a wig. So the oncologist said to me, well, maybe what you can do is cut your hair and make a wig out of it. And I'm sitting here like, oh, this woman, this woman. But what happened was I was in denial. I was truly in denial because I would take my hair and I would wrap it up, right? And
Right.
I would wrap it up thinking that maybe if the hair wasn't falling and the weight of the hair wouldn't fall, I was in denial. My
Mhm.
surgeon told me the same thing. You might as well just cut it off because it's gonna it's gonna fall out. I was
Yeah.
in denial. So I was still going through the treatment, still wouldn't cut my hair, would wrap my hair. My hair started to fall. Like I said, the picture I sent you right before my hair started to fall. So when my hair started to fall out,
Mhm.
I was still wrapping my hair. I was like, okay, maybe if I wrap it up, the weight of all this time I was saying,
Oh my
it
gosh.
was crazy.
Yes.
And then finally one day I went to treatment, came back, and as as soon as you go to treatment, you're like knocked out. You're so tired.
Yeah.
I woke up from treatment and a huge, just like this huge patch, boom, on the bathroom floor. And I looked on the bathroom floor and I was like, okay, Helen, okay,
Yeah.
this is it.
It's interesting because I think, we all have our different paths,
Mm-hmm,
journeys in terms of what we go through when we experience this.
mm-hmm,
Specifically, we're talking about breast cancer. And it's almost like the difference in grieving, the grieving process, right? Different people do it at different times and different you adopt or you get to the next thing
mm-hmm.
at different
Okay.
levels or different paces.
Yes.
And you have to be, and it's so important that you just be patient with yourself.
Self.
If there's nothing, if there's anything that I learned
Mm-hmm,
during that whole journey,
mm-hmm.
it was to listen to, be patient with, and care for me.
Yes.
It's not about anybody else, not even my children,
Right.
right? It was all about me and
Right.
how I was feeling and what was going on with me and
Right.
what I needed.
Right.
And we don't, unfortunately, as women, we
Right.
don't take the time to do that enough,
Right. Right.
right?
Exactly.
We get knocked on our asses when we get cancer, and then it's like, I got time to think about this. Let me think about this. I would love to see more women not get cancer, but think
Yes.
about this
But
and
think
do
about
and
it.
take
Yeah.
care,
And take
right?
care. Yeah.
For me,
Mm-hmm.
you said your journey, you had your locks. I had decided to cut my locks, and my locks were amazing. And
Mm,
I had decided, because I had, I'm so restless with my hair.
okay.
So I had decided
Mm-hmm.
about 4 months prior to going to chemo, prior to knowing that I had cancer, to cut my locks.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And I was so thankful for that because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to watch my locks
Yes.
come out. So
Yes.
I can only imagine your feelings, watching the long locks come out. I already had short hair,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was, when it was coming out, I was like, well, here it's coming out. So I
Mm-hmm.
just, pulled it out, shaved it, and kept it moving.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about your locks, I'm like, ooh,
Let me tell you, it was like, I'm telling you, because I was in denial of this thing for so
Yeah.
long, because I was just trying everything. I had gone to a concert in Florida during
Mhm.
that time. My head was wrapped and everything. And then people didn't know not a lot of people didn't know what was going on with me.
Mhm.
And it's like later on, one of the persons at the show had said to me, I was wondering why you were wearing a head wrap in the dead of July in this heat. she she was like, I didn't want to say anything, but I
Right.
was like, why is she wearing a head wrap? Because at that time, the locks, you know, this whole lump didn't fall at that time, but it was like little locks here and there were
Yeah.
falling.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
again, I was in that denial. And a friend of mine who had went with me, her name is Angel. She wrapped my head. She saw the bald spots and she wrapped my head for me really nice and everything like that. But this person who realized later, because I had documented my journey on Facebook, and at
Right.
that time it was MySpace too, and
Mhm.
that type of thing. Actually, at that time it was MySpace.
Mhm.
It was a big thing, and I had documented my journey there. And she was like, "I was wondering when I saw you, why in this heat you was wearing this head wrap." She couldn't
Yes.
understand it, but so yeah, when that huge, and I remember it clearly because it was this right here,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, Helen, okay, okay,
Yeah.
you have to come to terms with this.
Yeah.
My friend who had been coming again, I had not moved to my other friend yet. I was still dealing with this by myself at my home.
Mm.
She came to just check in on me because that's what they did. People would take turns in checking with me after I had my chemo. So she came and she would check in with, and she saw the hair, and she was like, okay. She called my cousin who was a nurse, immediately told her what happened, and my cousin said, we're going to have a hair cutting ceremony for her.
That's beautiful.
So I'm going to tell you, this was the most beautiful experience.
Mm.
So what she did was, at her home, she had this potluck, had my friends family over, and after I was ready, friends came out of town, like Jelaine, Jelaine,
Yeah, yeah.
they all came from out of town, and came to the potluck. And they what ended up happening was, when I was ready,
Mhm.
she took me up to this room and they laid this whole blanket out, and my friends sat around me in a circle, and I was in the middle of the blanket.
Mm.
Everybody, said words of encouragement to me.
Mhm.
They sang songs, read scripture, and prayed. When they when they finished praying, each of my friends took the scissors and cut my lock. Cut,
Mm.
you know, took turns cutting my locks.
Mm.
I'm tearing up just thinking about it.
Mm. Me too. That's so beautiful.
It was the most beautiful experience, and they took turns cutting my locks.
Mhm.
And it was funny. Some male friends came over too, and male cousins, but again, they stayed downstairs
Mhm.
while we went
This
upstairs.
was a sister circle.
It was a sister circle.
Yes.
When my locks were all cut, and they took the razor and shaved me bald, the men came upstairs, and each of them came and kissed my forehead.
Mm.
Oh, I'm telling you, I'm tearing up.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
It was the most beautiful and empowering experience.
Yes.
Everybody was saying, "Oh, Helen, you're so beautiful. You have the head for it. Don't worry about it." Da, da, da.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, um, they shaved, they washed my scalp, oiled my scalp. Telling you, the most beautiful experience that they gave me, and I still wasn't comfortable with going out with my head bald, even though they were
Yes.
telling you are gorgeous.
Mhm.
this type of stuff. So I was wrapping my head still and going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I got to the point where I was so weak, Sadie, that I could not even lift my arm,
Mm.
start wrapping my head. That's when I
Mm.
said, okay, Ellen,
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, and people, I would get compliments on the street. And I'm sitting here like, okay, these people have no idea that I'm going through cancer.
Look, okay.
And
I
I am fighting a battle.
I can so relate to that because it's like
Mm,
I remember going to the store and just going through like normal process, right? And I'm paying, and it's not that anybody's doing anything to me that's adverse, mean or anything like that, but I'm thinking in my head, they have no idea what is happening with me right now.
yeah.
And it becomes so like so vivid, like you're just so vividly aware.
Mhm.
And I also realized at that point that when you hear that quote that says you don't know what someone else's battle is at any point in time, so be
Exactly.
kind.
Be kind.
How true.
Yeah.
How people could be going through so much and they're just going through their day,
Yeah.
right? And they're just going through the emotions and
Yeah.
doing the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, but the beauty of it is the kindness of people to say and to be able to go, oh my god, you just look so beautiful, you're
It's so
so
beautiful.
beautiful. And you're
Random on the street. I was in a restaurant with, again, these vivid memories. I was in a restaurant with my friends. We went to eat, and somebody, he was with his family, I guess, in the next booth. And he came over to my table and said, he was an African. And he came
Mhm.
over to my table and he said, you look exactly like this African singer. She was a famous African singer, and I forget her name, but she
Mhm.
wore her head bald.
Mm.
And he was like, you are so gorgeous. And you
Mm.
look just like her. And I had to look her up and everything. And she was
Right.
a gorgeous woman, but that's how she wore her head. Her hair was bald.
Mhm.
And my friend sitting there next to me, like, see, trying to tell you.
Right.
We've been trying to tell you, girl. So I was like, okay. So it just, like you said, people not having a clue as to what you're going through,
Mhm.
and a lot of people, like, I remember one time I did tell somebody, I'm bald because I'm going through chemo. And they were like, what? What?
Yeah.
And it was interesting because my face had cleared up. I mean, when they said,
Yes, girl.
I
I
mean, my face was looking and
like glowing.
glowing. It was so
Serious.
interesting. I had gone someplace and another woman was asking me about my skincare regimen.
Chemo. You should
That's what I
don't
told
try
her.
it.
That's what I told her. That's exactly what I told her. And she was like, what?
Yes.
She said, I would have never known that you were fighting this battle. I said,
Oh,
it's chemo
yes.
and black
It's
stuff.
chemo. Yes. It's the right.
Chemo
So
and black stuff.
uh what a question that I would have is I when you talk about the support that you had, the blessing of the support that you had, I
Mhm,
had that same blessing.
mhm,
When you talk about going into your doctor's office and they're calling you sunshine,
mhm.
I had that same type of reaction. One nurse said to me, she said, man, I just love it when you come up in here. I was like, really? She's like, yes, you have such a great attitude. She's like, you're gonna
Yeah.
beat this thing she's
Yes.
like, you're just so high all the time, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so I want to ask you in your mind,
Mhm.
do you think that is what has helped you be 14 years removed and and be able to be on this journey? Do you think that is what has sustained you, like that is what gave you the strength and the ability to
Such a
get
good
through that?
question. Yes, I think I you may have a great point there, because I think that may have been it. I was determined not. I was like, I'm not dying of cancer. That's not happening.
Let me tell you what, I called the day
Mhm,
I was diagnosed. I had to get some blood tests. I
mhm,
went downstairs from the office to get the blood test,
mhm,
and I called my sister and I told her what had happened.
mhm,
But I said to her in that same conversation, the day that I was diagnosed, I said, this did not come to kill me.
mm-mm,
I said, this came to teach me something. I'm
mm,
going to stay open to the lessons
mhm,
and
mhm.
it's going to be all good.
It's gonna be all good. Yeah, that was my thing. I'd been on a spiritual journey
Mm,
before.
mm-hmm.
We grew up Seventh Day Adventist, and has questions. You know, throughout. I know you can relate.
Yes.
So I had been on this journey before. And in this journey, I studied other religious doctrines like
Mm-hmm.
Buddhism, Islam,
Mm-hmm.
Quran, Buddha, just different lifestyles, even Rasta. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I was on this journey, and when this hit me, I think I was at a place to say, okay, I'm not going to be angry about this. I'm not going to be angry at God and say, why did this happen to me? I was
Yes.
like, why not me?
Oh my God, girl, that's exactly what I said. I said,
I'm
you're
like,
giving
why
me
not me?
chills right now.
Yes.
Yes. I said, because if it's not me, then am I wishing it on someone else? And why would I do that? Like, why would it be for them and not for me?
For me. So
Exactly.
that was my whole attitude too.
Yes.
So I wasn't angry
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, okay, what did I do wrong health wise, maybe?
Mm.
But I was like, okay, I wasn't angry at God or anything like that, because my spiritual journey had taken me to a different level.
Yes.
It had taken me to a different level. I This another book that I'd read before all this happened was The Four Agreements. Love that book.
Mm. The Four Agreements.
Four Agreements by
Okay.
Don Miguel Ruiz. Messing up
Oh,
his name right now, but
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Ruiz.
Okay. Okay.
But that book changed my perspective on a lot of things.
Mm.
And so when I didn't take the fact that I had gotten cancer personally,
Mm-hmm.
right, and I
Yes.
wasn't angry about it, and I said, okay, this thing's not going to beat me. It's not, I'm not dying of this. This is not what's taking me down.
Right.
So my whole attitude was, okay, this is just a little bump on the road.
Right. This is just something I've got to go through.
This was just a yield, or on the
Yes.
road. So I actually wrote a blog about that too, and on space, on face, not MySpace at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a little bump on the road. So I was still doing. I was still going to work. I was still working with artists that I love to work with. As a matter of fact, I took on an artist and started to manage him. And still doing me, still traveling, still doing these things in between all of this is of what
Yes.
I'm going through. So I think the drive to just keep going is kind of what has helped
Mm-hmm.
me when I had to go to, because they had to take the uh, lymph nodes. They took 16 lymph nodes.
Yes.
One was cancerous, right? So I had to go through therapy for my arm. The arm swells up, and I had to wear this brace that I was.
Brace. Yeah.
I hated it, but I had to wear
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
And I had to go through therapy, and the lady who I was doing my therapy with, she was amazing, also so positive, and she was like, you're going through this chemo, just pray. And I would do that. I would pray. I said, dear God, I know this is poison going through me, but let it do what it have to do, and let me get past it. And this is the prayer that I would pray before going through chemo every single
Yes.
time. And she would be so encouraging. And so I had all these people along my journey who was so encouraging of me. And I think that helped with my spirits and the fact that I was like, this is not taking me down.
Yes.
So I think that attitude is kind of what has gotten me through all these years. I'm older now, and the journey has been interesting because I thought, and I was sharing this with my cousin yesterday, I thought, okay, go through chemo, go through radiation, take those daggone pills,
Mm-hmm.
and, and then it'll be over. I'll be back. No, not like
Nope.
one thing after another. So, you know, I'm still dealing with side effects. I'm
Yeah.
still dealing with things 14 years later that if I believe that if I hadn't gone through cancer and chemo, that I would not be dealing with
Yeah.
at this stage. Um, I had to have a full, complete hysterectomy with my ovaries removed
Mm.
um, in 2011 because I was on tamoxifen. I was still bleeding heavily on,
Really?
yep, on the
Wow.
tamoxifen. It was heavy and painful. Again,
Mm.
there was one, I had to leave work at one point to go to the emergency room because I was bleeding so much that I thought maybe I was hemorrhaging or something was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was on tamoxifen, I call that the devil.
Wow.
All that the devil.
Tamoxifen. I'm not taking tamoxifen. I'm taking letrozole.
Okay. I call tamoxifen the devil. That thing is a devil. Okay. Because the pain that I would be in. But the reason why they had me on tamoxifen was even though I had my period had stopped during the chemo, I was still young enough that they were saying that my period would probably come back.
Right.
So that's why they had me on tamoxifen.
Right. Yeah.
I was on the tamoxifen that whole time, but my joints hurt. Sometimes I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. And,
Mm.
all these, it was, I call it the devil. So
Right. Wow.
that's why the devil's called.
Yeah.
So I was on that and taking that and going through all of that. And it was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that if I had not gone through that, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of what I'm going through now, as far as symptom wise, I would not be seeing these things until maybe my 60s or 70s.
Right.
You know, I was on, I had to have a full hysterectomy again because I was bleeding so much.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the gynecologist. He was saying, well, because of your history, maybe this is what we need to do. They found a fibroid. I've never had issues with fibroids before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
None of that. My uterus was prolapsing. That
Mm.
was the diagnosis that my uterus was prolapsing, and they found this fibroid that was like a little bigger than a quarter.
For clarity, can you explain what prolapsing means? Just
Okay,
so that people will understand what you mean, what
so
you're saying.
meaning that my uterus was dropping. So the doctor told me at some point
It was just gonna fall out.
it would fall out.
Oh Lord.
That made no sense to me. Till this day, I still can't wrap my brain around it a little bit. But and
Oh.
it was strange because usually when this happens, because he wanted to know how many children I had, all these things, and I only had one son.
Mm-hmm.
He was born 9 pounds 3 ounces. That was how many years, at the time that he was, big young man at the time.
Right.
So like, how is this happening to me? So that's when they decided, okay, maybe, I went and got a second opinion. My oncologist said, well, go with what he's saying. So, I had this done. So I slammed right into menopause.
Yeah.
And then I'm on At that point, I had switched from tamoxifen, if I can recall. Yeah, switched from tamoxifen to this other drug. I think I want to call it Femira. At the time, it was Femira.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am taking a drug that is going to lessen my estrogen levels. And then you get a full hysterectomy with the ovaries. You have no hormones. So you can just imagine
Yes.
the upheaval that caused.
Mm.
Interestingly enough, I don't know if women go through this or have gone through this. For 2 years after my hysterectomy, I was still feeling the symptoms of having a period,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing would come. So I was still feeling these symptoms. And it was very interesting. They put me on different medications, but I didn't like the side effects of
Mm-hmm.
medications. I would gain weight. I would have brain fog. There was one medication that I was on that I felt like I was actually losing my mind, and I didn't realize that I was going into a depression, into a
Spiral. Yeah.
spiraling depression. But because I didn't recognize it, what was happening to me, also, there was other symptoms that I was going through: forgetfulness, paranoia,
Mm.
all these things that I was going through during that time on the different type of medications that I was on. In 2015 was when I decided no more medications.
No more.
No,
Done with that.
I'm done with that. No more. I'm not taking it. And I said, God, if cancer comes back, it comes back. But I decided no more because there was just so many things that I had gone through with these different medications. And this is why I'm so leery of medications now. I do my research. I don't
Mm-hmm.
just take,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and even now that we're in COVID with this vaccine, I'm still leery
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I, I I went through this journey with different medications and what it did for me. And I understand that I guess it's better to take, they say, because it will help prolong your life. But man, the side effects of joint pain, memory loss,
Yeah. Then it's kind of like, what kind of life?
what kind of life are you living,
Yeah.
at that point? I will say this during the journey, because at one point I wanted to just go natural,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and not do any of these things. But I had people begging me to take the chemo because of my history, my family history. And
Right.
I was the first one of my generation that had gotten cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother, my aunts and uncles, they did not take the chemo or take any of these things. They did it naturally, and they passed. So I had cousins begging me, like family begging me, please just take the chemo, do your natural thing too. So I did both. I did the
Yes.
natural herbs and everything like that. And I would say that at the time, the doctors were very encouraging, like, do whatever it is you have to do
Yes.
to help you get through this.
Yes.
Whatever it is you have to take, just let us know so we know that it won't be interfering,
Right. Or have a reaction or
a
anything. Yeah.
reaction or stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So that's what I did.
So now that you've stopped taking all of the medication, how are you feeling?
Well, again, that's been another journey, because it's like, I'm getting a lot of it. I'm like, okay, is this age or is this a part of this journey, right? I have back issues now. I'm in pain a lot, and it's a degenerative thing.
Mm.
So I feel like if I hadn't gone through this journey, I probably wouldn't have been going through these things until maybe my 60s, 70s, 80s,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but I'm going through a lot of these things that I believe is a result of that journey
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
experiencing now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very vigilant about my health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I bug the doctors, and they're probably at this point, yeah, all right, bro. Stop, you 14 years.
14 years, you're good.
You good. Hold on.
Yeah.
You didn't make it. As a
But
matter
that's it. But that I think that that's part of the journey. It's like, and I've said it before. I go, you know what? Once a cancer patient, always a cancer patient. Not that you have active cancer in your body, but you're a
of
constant patient, and it's constantly in the back of your
your
mind.
mind.
Whenever you feel something that's odd, you go, is that it coming back,
Back.
or is it something else? And
Right.
you have to, I find that I have to talk myself down a lot of times. I'm like, look, give yourself a few days. If it still persists or if it gets worse or whatever, then maybe we'll consider it. But it's today. Just chill out,
You
chill,
have to,
girl.
right? You have to, because and then sometimes like, okay, I might be paranoid, like because it's you know, and it's not like after a while they stop testing you. Yeah,
Yes.
and
I'm still within the 5 years. So
you
I
still with
still
the
see my oncologist I see him every 6 months, but I go in every 3 months for a shot to keep
mm-hmm,
my ovaries quiet.
mm-hmm,
But it was a transition when I stopped going in like almost every 2 weeks or so. There
mm-hmm.
was a transition in my mind that I had to do. It's like, well, who's gonna be following me or watching me to make sure that this is not coming back, right? You have this anxiety, right?
Exactly.
And you have to kind of work through that.
Absolutely.
And so right now, I'm just kind of like, okay, everybody seems to, I'm doing okay, and everybody seems to be calm.
Mhm.
Nobody's showing me any underlying,
Yeah.
so I'm going to stay calm.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I still get tested for ovarian cancer, and interestingly enough, um,
Without ovaries.
without ovaries, because they say that even though your ovaries removed, there's cells that are still there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I looked it up, and yeah, some women, even after they've had their ovaries removed, can get ovarian cancer. And I do have a
Wow.
history of that in my family. So, and because of other symptoms that are going on, that's something that they want to rule out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I will still get tested for ovarian cancer. Interestingly enough, yeah, very interesting. But,
Wow.
so yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting journey. Um, but you're right. I try to talk myself down too sometimes and say, okay, mm, all right, you know, just chill. It's
Chill,
not.
girl.
Again, you hear about women who have breast cancer, it comes back as something else, and they're fighting cancer after cancer. And I remember one time in my whole 5 year, I had asked my oncologist to do a PT scan. She was fighting me on it. I was like, listen,
Let's
I
just
have
get.
insurance. My insurance is good. Just do it, please, for my peace of mind.
Yes.
Because there were other things going on. And I was like,
Yes.
you
And
guys are not
I
taking,
mean,
you know?
excuse me. I don't know about you, but I think part of it is, excuse me. So part of it is
Mhm.
that you were going along in life, living life,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden cancer came.
Exactly.
You went through cancer, you
Mhm.
went through all the things, you did all the things.
Mhm.
But because you knew before cancer, you didn't know you had cancer. Now that you know you had cancer, you feel like anytime it can come back because
Right.
you're just going along life like you were, it's
Before,
just,
yes.
you're just more aware. I think you're just more aware of your vulnerability, how vulnerable you really are. Whereas before, it was kind of like you felt almost invincible, right? You kind of
Exactly.
feel invincible. I'm healthy.
I'm healthy.
You
And
know,
I
you said the
was.
same
And I
thing.
was. I was healthy. No blood pressure issues. No diabetes.
Yes,
Nothing.
nothing.
Nothing. I was working out. I was
Girl,
healthy.
I went
And
to go,
bam.
I went to go get an echo.
Mhm.
Um, an echocardiogram because I needed to get the echo, the ultrasound echo before I started chemo
Mhm.
to make sure so that they would have a baseline of my heart and
Mhm.
all of that. So
Mhm.
I walk in to get this done, and the lady's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm doing great." She's like, "Okay, so what's going on today?" I was like, "Nothing. I'm feeling fine." She was like, "Cancer?" I was like, "Oh, right. That's right. That's why I'm here." I literally, literally, I was like, "Oh, that's right. That's why I'm here. I forgot I got cancer."
Right.
But like everything, I was just fine. Like, you're going along and you're fine. And then
Fine.
all of a sudden it's like, bam, you're like, oh,
Yes.
right.
Yes. Like what? Okay.
She and
So
I both laughed. I was like, oh, it's like, okay, girl, you're going to be all right. I was like, okay.
yes, I hear you. Mhm.
So, wow. Thank you for sharing your story because my hope is that it will help someone else feel hopeful and feel it will help someone who does not have cancer understand the value there is in slowing down and thinking about yourself and caring for yourself.
Mhm.
And it will help someone who is going through the cancer journey or who has gone through the cancer journey to know that there is actually life on the other side.
Yes.
Going through it is
Yes.
hard.
Yes.
You're going to experience things that you really would not want to experience.
Yes.
But on the other side,
Yes.
there's clarity.
Yes.
There's certain types of clarity that come that you might not get without having gone through that journey.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so you sharing your story
Yes.
helps, people to see that, look, 14 years down the line, you could be, living life to the
Yes.
fullest and have
Still
your
here.
locks all the way back down to the,
This was that's right.
Yeah.
This was another journey too, back to my locks. It was
Yes.
another journey because I had to accept my hair was different now.
Yes.
This is the third or fourth attempt. I had started my locks. My hair was cut them off. Started again. The medications was making my hair thin and actually patches of hair was falling out.
Mm,
Cut it off, started it again. Oh, I didn't like because the locks that I had before was so beautiful and thick and
thick.
fabulous. And but my hair was different now. So I had to accept that. And once I accepted it and said, okay, this is my hair now.
Yep.
I'm gonna make it work.
Yep.
That's what I did. And I started these set about 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Three, four,
Wow. Three
yeah,
years. Nice.
3 years ago. And they've been good and healthy. And I
Yeah.
said, once it gets to a point where it's not healthy anymore, then yeah, I'll just cut them off. And it's
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm happy with it. So,
Nice.
it's a journey of understanding and accepting, okay, this is what's happening, I still have my
Absolutely.
breasts are still here. When I wear clothes or whatever, I still get people admire, ooh, the beautiful boobs. And I'm like, yeah, I love them.
Gotta love the girls.
They still here and they mine. Yeah.
Mine are not here. I
Okay.
had mastectomy
Okay.
without reconstruction.
Okay.
Double. And
Okay.
there are many reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about accepting and
Accept.
understanding that your body is different, things are different. My
Mm-hmm.
body is so different now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I've gained weight a little bit through this pandemic and
Mm-hmm.
taken this,
Mm-hmm.
medication.
Mm-hmm.
And that's different for me because you know me. You knew me at 95 pounds. Trust me, girl, I was 95 pounds until I was way,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
you know,
Okay.
until I was 30, almost 35, I was 95 pounds. And then when
Mm-hmm.
I got to 100 or 110, I was like, oh, yay.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm looking at myself
Mm-hmm.
at 133 and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going, whoa, first of all, it's not that I'm not liking it because I got some junk in my trunk now.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're
that
beautiful.
I'm
Yeah.
happy,
Yeah.
for that. But it's a process of
Mm-hmm.
acceptance that comes because your body is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
things are going to be
Be
different.
different. Things are
But
gonna
you
be
but you
different.
have to kind of, but that's what the journey is for, to help
Mm-hmm.
you to love and understand and accept yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. So before we wrap this up, I want to
Okay.
ask you a final question,
Okay.
which is,
Mm-hmm.
what is your favorite dish?
Ackee and saltfish.
I knew that's what you,
That all day,
I was
every day, with some sorrow.
Oh, I know you rep the culture, girl, and I knew that was gonna be there.
That is it. I have used that as my password sometime. Ackee and saltfish. That is my favorite dish.
I
Yes.
love it. I
Yes.
love it. I
Yes.
love it. And I love you. Thank you so much
Love
for
you
being
too.
on. It's
And thank
so good
you.
to connect with you
Yes.
and to have you here and still thriving and surviving.
Yes. Thank you. And I'll be back anytime you want me to. And I hope when I start my podcast, you'll come on as a guest.
I am there. I am there. Just
Yeah.
let me know.
Oh, absolutely.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hey, did you enjoy that episode? If so, please leave a review. It would mean the world, but only if it's a good one and you really did enjoy it. In which case, it would be awesome if you help support my work over at Patreon. The link is in the show notes. See you soon.